Good evening. Welcome to today's agenda. On today's agenda, we discuss students who are appearing and aspiring to be doctors, to get into the medical field. What happens to them when they are told not to write an exam just because their metallic detectors go beeping? They're told to remove their bras, their jeans, their sleeves are cut off. How much of this is acceptable? While the dress code is extremely important to ensure that cheating does not happen, which has been a huge problem, to what extent should it be stretched? How much can the institution go ahead and implement it to the point that the dignity of the aspirants are not compromised with? We bring you the story of an 18-year-old girl from Kannur in Kerala who is writing her NEET exam. And she has gone ahead and made strong allegations, saying that she was asked to remove her underwear, her bra specifically speaking, because the metal detectors went beeping. Is that acceptable? The CBSE has not said anything yet, but let's listen to what this girl has to say.
They checked me with the metallic detector, and at that time when the detector reached near my bra, when it was made of metal and it started to beep.
You mean the hook? You mean the hook in your undergarment?
Yeah, hook and the strap too. And that time they told that without removing my inner, I can't enter into the exam hall since it was made of metal. And just then I just take off my bra from there itself. I gave that to my mom. She was waiting outside.
Did you refuse to take out your undergarment?
Yes.
What did they say?
I told her because it was not the rule. It was not in the rule. They are not at all saying anything about the inners. How can they say that with a single hook? Or that how can they say that I can't wear my inner dress and all? Because it affects my confidence.
My daughter could enter somewhere around 9 o'clock, and she was sent back saying that she came back and told me, Papa, the jeans button has to be removed. The button is an objectionable item. Promptly I removed the button. But next to that, what I seen is a shocking scene, wherein a girl coming near the gate and handing over something to her mother. And that lady, she was cursing herself and moving it, and she was holding a bra in her hand, which was handed over by her daughter. Girls in good number coming out of the examination hall, facing the public, parents, brothers, and younger boys were around there, and they're just struggling that the scene is going to haunt me throughout my life.
The 11 lakh students taking this exam in about 1900 centers across the country, and this shocker that came from Kerala certainly has become a talking point across the country. I have with me in fact a student who has appeared for this particular exam, and he had in fact taken this exam. And what was your experience? You said that there was huge security that they went with.
Yeah, it was like the security was a bit high. But I think it is a bit unnecessary. But they have allotted this timing slots, slot A and slot B. The slot A people had their timing slots between 7:30 to 8:30. So the people who stayed far away from the center started. They have to start a bit early, like at 6:30 or something.
People had to wait some 2 hours. Is the question? There was also some talk about some people being asked to cut off their sleeves because they wore full sleeves. Was that something that certainly left students in trauma? But as someone who believes that malpractice needs to be stopped, did you feel that that was justified?
Wearing full sleeves and all, if they want to keep such restrictions and all, it is better that if they inform the students and beforehand. Not even a single instruction was given from NEET, NEET people. The people who were aware of the restrictions was only about media and the coaching institutions which they were going to. And wearing full sleeves, it was a restriction which was put forward, but I think it is not a bit fair.
Yes. We are also joined by Mr. Ashok Ganguly, former chairperson of the CBSE from Lucknow. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. These regulations that have come up, largely when I've been speaking to educationists here, teachers here, they talk about the fact that this was actually a foolproof system. It was meticulously planned out, and the instructions were given out in advance. But what happened in Kerala has certainly shocked everyone, and Chennai also. In fact, several people reported that they had to virtually be stripped in order to be checked, and also many, in fact, visuals have appeared in the media about the sleeves of full sleeves being cut off. Was this really justified? In your experience, do you think this was something that is justified, sir?
Thank you. I must say that the entire attitude is unprofessional. We sometimes become so crazy and overzealous that we recourse to such measures which has wider ramification. I do agree that cheating has of late become a great nuisance and it has to be tackled with strong measures. There are chips and devices which are being actually put into some shirts, collar or some pockets, and these are being used by the 21st century smart people. But then we, professional body who are conducting this examination, we need to be also smart enough to tackle such situations. There is no reasons that of course dress code is fine, but there is no reasons that the innerwear or these things has to be actually checked. What is important that there are invigilators in the examination hall, and these invigilators just look into the supervise the 24 examinees in the exam hall, and this can be done by our examinations. Then there are internal squad in the school itself. Then there are center superintendents, there are supervisors from the board. So I think there is no need to put such type of harassment. This is, I tell, the harassment to the students. We did not create such an environment, such an hype, which puts the students in a very embarrassing situations. So I must say that we need to be very, very professional in conducting such examination. I do not know. The CBSE has recently conducted the joint entrance mains examinations, and there was no such things in that examination. Why this has happened in the NIT examinations, I do not know. Whether there is any instructions from the board or not. But I think there has to be a fine coordination between the right hand and the left hand. And if we have successfully conducted the joint entrance examination mains, I think these things should have been replicated in the NEET also. In future, I must say that there can be a professional dress code, there can be examination dress code, but this type of actually checking, this type of survey should not happen. We need to put our examinees in a very calm and composed situation so that they are not under any stress, anything before entering into the examination hall.
Yes, Mr. Ganguly, these are certainly strong words coming from someone who occupied a very high position in the CBSE, and reflecting on what has happened today. In fact, it's evoked strong reactions throughout the country. But let me go across to Sneha Mary Koshi, who is in Trivandrum, and this is in fact turned into a political storm. Sneha, you in fact earlier today also chatted with the principal of that particular school. They had spoken about having some kind of an inquiry, calling in those invigilators. What did you learn from the school there, and what are you hearing in Kerala?
Well, interestingly, Omar, the principal has categorically denied all these allegations, saying that nothing of this sort has happened there. He says that he's shocked that such reports are emerging. Well, he also adds that CBSE has given very strong instructions that if there is any metal detection beep, no one should be allowed inside, and as a result, they could not have allowed anybody. But he does say that no one was told to remove their underwear. Well, that is the school's version. He has called for a meeting, but he has categorically denied these occurrences. Joining us right now are also some young students who also took this NEET exam this Sunday, along with their father, as well as one of the coaches from Expert Training Institute in Thiruvananthapuram. Dhruvad, let me start with you. What did you see there? By the way, did you do your exam well?
Yeah.
What did you see there?
For me, the checking was not so strict. At the same time, it was actually like for some people they are allowed to wear jeans and such stuff, whereas for some others, like measures were taken. For example, one person was allowed to go inside wearing a belt when he came inside first, and then when he went out to take some photo, when he came back the next time, his belt was removed. That means that his checking was not so strict the first time, and they had different kind of checking for each person.
A very important point here by Dhruvad, different kind of checking for different persons, but not just that, it also seems it was different kind of checking for different institutions. across India? Because there are many students who wore jeans and went inside. Well, here was one student from Kerala who was not allowed to go inside because of a metallic button. Was the institute going too far? Joining us right now is also Mr. Ashok, who is, you have been training many students at the Expert Institute.
For the last 30 years, I have been doing the same thing. For the last
20 years.
29 years.
Okay. Tell me, sir, what you're hearing now. Does it upset you as somebody who trains students?
Actually, for the last 2.5 years, students are in very high stress. And at the last moment, they are getting some instruction also. So students and parents should be aware of the instruction properly, and they should go through the instruction also, by which we can minimize 50% of the total problem. But I don't know what copying or malpractice will be arising because of the electronic devices or some pen cameras or something like that. But I don't know what is wrong with the jeans or some dress code like this, or actually what has happened in Kannur. I can't imagine such things. It's too much. Sure, it is a removal of the innerwears or something, etc. That is far, far beyond imagination, so that the stress of the students will be increased to the maximum. They can't recollect their memory also by doing these things. Therefore, that extreme type of instructions must be avoided.
Well, extreme type of instructions must be avoided. But there's also a sense that there is ambiguity in what are the do's and what are the don'ts. Devika, have you felt that there is ambiguity? You have written NEET last time. In fact, you had quite a situation yourself.
Ma'am, really, first of all, I think that the rules and regulations are not properly read by the parents. And also, it is not same for all the institutions. First of all, it should be made clear that every institution should follow the same rules and regulations. Because of that, all these kinds of things. That Kannur girl, she had to face the things. But I also write, I didn't face all those things. And also the checking problem, it's not same everywhere. But it should be made clear.
Does it bother you when you're going to write an exam like this, that you know what is going to happen there? It's not just what you've studied, but also what you might have to deal there.
Yes, ma'am. First of all, we are tensed about the exam. We don't know what questions we are going to write. And then before that, we have to face so many things like that. Then our stress will increase naturally, mainly. And also this thing a girl need to face. What sort of mind? I was so tensed. I was unaware of the things, all this.
Well, in fact, the girl who went through this, the 18-year-old, while she was telling me, she told me that at that moment, all she wanted to do was just write her exam, because this was the second time that she was taking this exam. She said that she just couldn't handle responding to the authorities there, and no matter how humiliating it was for her to take out her bra in front of everybody and hand it over to her mother, she still did that, just because she wanted to take an exam for which she has been studying for 3 years. Mr. Thangachan, but you firmly believe that these are very important measures which need to be implemented in the right way.
Yes, the measures are important, but the way it implemented is the problem. See, the parents as well as the students are most tense before the exam. Such incidents will topple the mental temperament of the students. Then what is the reason why they cannot write the exam well? They are just writing the exam after getting this torture.
One last question to you, sir. The principal is saying he's just done what was told to him by the CBSE.
No, actually for the last week we are giving a special type of exercise to the students. That's confidence building exercise. It's a Herculean task to bring their confidence to that level. But everything will be spoiled by doing such hard and fast rules. Whatever be the instructions and the written instructions to the principal, we have to consider these type of mental conditions of the students first.
Right.
We should give the first preference to that case.
Right. So, yes. Uma, here you have people who are saying, while all of these things are very important, and they're extremely worried about what happened in Kannur, or for that matter in Chennai, but they do say that there needs to be clarity in what are the do's and what are the don'ts.
Yes, indeed, Sneha. Do's and don'ts is something that they have given quite elaborately in the guidelines that have been issued by the CBSE. I have with me, in fact, someone who is already an MBBS doctor. He appeared for NEET because he appeared for the PG exam. What is your view? You also came through a very tough system, MCET, which in fact had major scandals just an year ago. And now, even now, the CBI, the inquiry is going on. People are being charge sheeted. This kind of rigorous stopping of mass copying or malpractices, was this a good idea?
Definitely, malpractices, even a few persons, will affect the common students very seriously. Malpractices should be stopped, and we hope that all these restrictions which are given by the CBSE were in good faith. But they should have been taken well by the students, and they should have been informed well by the coaching centers and all. And they should have stressed the things, because instructions, they might have read it, but nobody knows the seriousness of the instructions and should they follow it very strictly. That was the gap, I think, and it should have been stressed more seriously that it is very strict that they should not come with the clips and all and the full sleeves. That
should have been well carried through and well instructed to the students. I also have Maya Sukumaran, who's been an educationist several years, headed a school as well. These kind of things that challenges for the education system itself when we are talking about malpractices, and many would say they tried to put in place what was considered a thorough system, because like we saw in the film Robo as well, there was Aishwarya Rai copying with a gadget, a small chip. What did you see? This was an aberration, or is this something that we need to look at more intensively, extensively?
Because see, what I felt is it's a basic violation of human rights, firstly. They could have been instructed saying that, these metallic things should not be there, because that would come under the scan, isn't it? Under the scan of the metal detector. Now, the thing is, it was a trauma for the children. They have been preparing for how many years? It's not that they're just preparing for 11th and 12th.
Yeah, I also have to get in Ravichandar, who is a human rights lawyer, in fact, and someone who advocates this. And this system of examining students and then putting them through this kind of rigorous checking, was that something that should have happened?
No, I have two major issues. One is this whole examination system of having to examine somebody over 18 hours for what they've done in 18 years is something that's very, very suspect, something that we need to re-examine. One. Secondly, about this whole concept of putting somebody through an X-ray machine. I think this whole paradigm of assuming the innocence of the citizen .
The NEET shocker from Kerala, and also other incidents, stray incidents one may call them, being reported by students from Chennai and other centers as well, where they said that they had to cut off their full sleeves in order to be able to enter the exam center. You believe this was necessary? Why?
See, in this era of modern technology where we have very microphones which can be misutilized by the students or the people who anyway want to crack the exam, it is a necessity by the CBSE directors or NEET directors to have such rules in order to curtail the possibility of such type of malpractices.
So this is necessary, he says, that in an era where you have chips, microchips that can be used by students, you have to look for these kind of metal detectors. These were precautions that were being put in place.
Now, two things. Now, my problem, I repeat, is any necessity that violates human rights is not acceptable in our society. The police in Nazi Germany thought a lot of things were necessary in their society. Civilized society does not accept it. One. Two, I believe your system must have a better methodology of finding out a chip than having to strip people physically. Understand, the person, the victim of this striptease is a 16-year-old adolescent. She has a huge trauma, which is something as bad as anything else. It is strange that 4 days after a death penalty in Nirbhaya, this country condones, in the name of regulation, somebody being stripped in the name of the person taking a systemic examination. Doesn't the contrast stare? It's a paradox that we are living with, and we are condoning in the name that parents want their children to perform well in an examination, system is failing to get the best out of them, therefore we will permit this to happen, not accept.
Ma'am, your students have written the exam as well, and one of your schools also was a center. Was this something that is necessary? Because some of the teachers I've spoken to have acted as invigilators. They said they were showing elaborate tapes that spoke about these microchips, and therefore wherever it beeps, you have to be out with it.
Yes. See, I very well agree with what Mr. Ravichandar said. Very clearly, you should have some devices which can identify, instead of asking a child to, take off their clothes or tear off their clothes. Why should a child undergo that kind of a trauma? You have a device that can detect, in case the device is beeping, take the child separately and get the child examined. See whether the person is having any kind of a chip on her or him. Instead of putting the child into a trauma, wherein it's about 4 or 5 years of hard work, and every mark, I think they all agree, even a mark will pull you down by how many ranks. That's not right what we have done. We have actually pulled down a child's complete, the enthusiasm of becoming a doctor. I mean, that's not correct.
Bhanu Teja, you have written the exam yourself, and many of your friends told you some quite horrifying tales actually, but you personally feel that this was necessary for stopping this kind of malpractices. You've also known about the MSET scam that happened in the medical entrance exam in Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, where going through these kind of very scandalous kind of background.
First point, when they want to avoid the full sleeves and all, why are they using those metal detectors and all? Around 3 consecutive checkings are going on until a student enters the examination center. And the student is made to wait in the ground till 9 o'clock, and they're not even allowed to sit in the shade. Without books, they are not going to prepare. How are they going to prepare? And the other point is, it gives a bit fear to the student, where he can't actually participate well in his competitive exam and all.
Already under huge stress, and adding to the stress is this trauma of being put through an exam. Even getting your sleeve cut off perhaps doesn't leave you feeling in the best of spirits to be able to sit for an exam, which in many senses has been hyped to be the exam of your life and the exam for your success as well. This debate perhaps will continue. The CBSE perhaps will have to order an inquiry at least into this specific incident to find out what really went wrong. That's it then on Agenda this evening. Thanks so much for watching.